I am back at Secord Dam. Hopefully you can hear me over the raging water behind me. Before I get this video started, I want to thank my new patrons Kevin, Scott, and Lynn, and for people sending me letters through the mail. Huge support from Rich and Bonnie. This just allows me to keep doing what I love doing, coming up here and filming these dams. Let me get this camera turned around and we'll take a closer look at Secord Dam. I don't make it up to this dam a whole lot. The main reason of that being is it is the northernmost dam out of the 5 dams that are under construction by the Four Lakes Task Force right now. It is about an hour drive for me to get up to this dam. Smallwood Dam is just south of here, not too far. So I will be stopping at Smallwood Dam as well again today and filming a quick update as to what's going on there. Like I said, Secord is the northernmost dam, so Smallwood Dam is just south of here. And then we get to Wixom Lake, which has the Edenville and the Tobacco River Dam on it. And then even further south, we have the Sanford Dam down there in Sanford, Michigan. So that is the 5 dams that I generally cover over here on both the Tittabawassee River and the Tobacco River side. Especially with how much gas prices are right now, you can probably understand why I don't come up to this dam as much as the others. There is a link in the description down below for coffee though. If anyone wants to buy me a drink or buy me a tank of gas, check that out. It's actually a pretty cool way to support the channel. They don't charge any fees, which is great because a lot of the other platforms do charge fees. And a quick update on the live camera here at Secord Dam. Only $680 more before we're able to raise enough money to get a live camera installed on this dam. Then people will be able to see what's going on here 24/7. It would be great to install this one on the Powerhouse as well. I'm not sure if that would be allowed. If not, I am able to install it over there on the Secord Township Fire Department. They have a pole that's about 100 feet up in the air and we can see the dam from that area. Jumping into the drone video now, I'm to the south of Secord Dam, going to be flying under the Secord Dam Bridge Road. Make sure you stay tuned till the end of this video. There has been a few changes with the construction, the proposed construction that will be happening here at Secord Dam during the rebuild process. These rocks are actually forcing the water to the center of the channel so that there's no erosion happening along the embankments. I'm gonna fly right up here in front of Secord Dam. You can see the water. This is considered run of the river right now, so the amount of water entering the dam is the same that is exiting the back, so maintaining the water level on the back side of the dam. Actually quite a bit flowing over the top of the dam right now. Over here on the left hand side of the screen is where they did pour that new wall. You can see a couple of those pipes exiting for weep holes to allow for drainage from the embankments. Looks like this wall is holding up pretty good though. I don't see any sort of degradation in it. We'll turn the camera up to the top of the dam pretty soon, but I was just getting a nice close-up view of the work that has been complete here. Now we can see the water coming over the top of Secord Dam over here, and the Tanner gates in their fully raised positions. So the drone is facing towards the north right now. I'm going to start panning the camera over to the right. We will take a closer up look at the powerhouse over here and where the water used to exit the turbines. Looks like there's quite a bit of degrading concrete, the reinforced concrete over here. A lot of spalling happening from the rebar that is rusting inside of this reinforced concrete. You can see a little bit of that water exiting the weep holes over there on the right hand side as well. I was checking and seeing if I could see any of the fish down here in the water. Usually when the sun's out, it's pretty easy to see them, but this day there wasn't a whole lot of sun out. You can see that water exiting the bottom section there now and the stairway down to this area. A door up there that is chained off. That's how you exit this area and get to this location from the powerhouse. Again, kind of checking out the spalling happening up here on the concrete that is supporting the powerhouse area. I'll drop a little bit further in altitude. Usually this area is filled with barn swallows, so Once they start nesting, this area will be a lot harder to start to film. That should be happening very soon, so we probably won't see this area again until the fall time frame. So backing up a little bit further, trying to get the entirety of this dam in one frame, always capturing lots of pictures when I'm out there. That's usually when you see a cut in the video, is I stop filming video, snap a quick picture, and these I upload over on my Patreon channel. So if you want to check those out, you can go over, check out my Patreon link in the description down below. Sometimes I post a few public sneak peeks as to what I've been working on, what I've been filming. We'll keep gaining altitude now. We can see up here to the north on the other side of Secord Dam how high the water level is. A little bit wider than a river here. The people that live closer to the dam have a little bit of a lake yet, but a greatly reduced volume from what used to be here when these gates were lowered and Secord Dam was actually a lake. I'll keep gaining altitude a little bit further. I'm flying all the way up to 400 feet in altitude, seeing what things look like from way up here. Looks like we got a guy coming out fishing here, so hopefully he's successful. I have seen a couple fish down here in the water. Maybe we'll be able to pick those up a little bit easier from the drone. Let's take a look downriver real quick. I do want to mention though, we're almost to 33,000 subscribers though, so if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you go down below and do that. Also hit that thumbs up, the like button, and leave any questions and comments you have down below as well. Downriver, water level is a little bit high right now, but it's down quite a bit from where it was earlier in the year. We had all that spring thaw, snow melt come through. We've also had quite a few high rain events that have been keeping the water levels high down to the south of here. And see what they're trying to do here though with the rocks that have been installed here, forcing all that water to the center of the channel. That is stopping erosion from happening on each side of the banks here. Also quite a bit of riprap, you know, underneath the bridge, along each side of the embankments here. So erosion is not really an issue here right now. Jumping back to the drone video now, probably about 250 feet in altitude. Still gaining altitude though. I will be flying all the way up to 400 feet very shortly, and the drone is still facing towards the north. Starting to see a little bit more of the water volume up here to the north of the dam. I'm going to start flying up this direction. We'll actually go directly over the top of the dam, get that top-down view, and then we will look up to the north, see how the lake bed is looking. So shot directly over the top of the dam, and all these little dots out here, actually this would be behind the dam up here to the north. May look like all birds sitting on the water, but those are all stumps that are sticking out of the water. Can see a little bit more of those stumps over here on the left hand side. That used to be what the old lake bottom was littered with, and still is today. When the water is refilled, a lot of those will probably still remain. One of the new proposed concept that is being discussed right now is actually, instead of doing a sheet pile cutoff wall through this earthen embankment, switching that to an SCB wall. So SCB stands for soil, cement, bentonite. This would be a slurry wall that they would literally go through, trench through the earthen embankment and lay down this soil, cement, bentonite mixture, and that would replace the steel sheet pile. Stay tuned to the end to see more of that, but now I'm going to jump back into the video on the ground. As always, I will be covering the engineering diagrams and details at the end of this video, so make sure you stay tuned for that. We'll be able to see what's going to be happening here. Also, I want people to stay tuned for a little while longer. I will be covering the construction work that will be going on here at the end of this video. So I know there's been a lot of questions regarding, well, why is there no work being done up here on Secord and Smallwood Dam, and work is being done down there on Sanford Dam. I think it is very important for people to understand the work that has been completed on the dam south of here and is currently ongoing, and why there is not work physically being seen done here. So the work going down there at Sanford Dam is for interim stabilization. That work is just to prevent erosion from happening. It's to get the river, the Tittabawassee River, flowing back through Sanford Dam, and then that embankment, you know, where the breach channel is right now, can be filled in and stop erosion from happening there. A lot of the money right now is being funded by NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service. So Four Lakes Task Force is making good use of that money, incorporating even some of the interim stabilization work into what the final construction work need to happen here to get these dams rebuilt and allow the lakes to be refilled. So once the interim stabilization is complete down there in Sanford Dam, that will mean that all 5 dams have the interim stabilization complete. Then construction can begin on these dams. So the construction phase is the phase of the work that's going to be happening to refill these lakes. So new spillways, new cistern walls being poured, new crest gates. After all that construction phase work is complete, then the gates can be, in this case, raised, as in crest gates. And Tainer gates, you would lower the gates to fill the lakes, and then the lakes can be refilled. I know there has been a ton of people commenting on Facebook when I post updates saying, well, why is there not work going on here at Secord Dam? So I think it's very important for people to stay educated as to the work that's ongoing, the work that has been completed, and stay tuned to the end of this video to see what needs to be done here on this dam to refill this lake. Both Secord and Smallwood Lake are estimated to be refilled in 2024. They will be the first lakes to be refilled. Sanford Lake is not estimated to be refilled until 2025, and Wixom Lake until 2026. I know there's been a lot of people saying, why? Why can they just not lower these gates and refill the lakes? You know, people said the dams have not failed here on Secord and Smallwood Dam. That is beside the fact that there are major issues wrong with this dam yet. The lakes cannot be refilled. This is not up to the Four Lakes Task Force. This is up to many federal and government agencies. There needs to be a lot of repairs done in order for that work to happen. I'll actually post up a timeline on the screen right now so that people can see what work and when it will be completed and started here on Secord Dam. And yeah, a lot of the work ongoing right now you can't really see as physically, but there has been a ton of studies, engineering studies done, flood control studies, water studies done as to how much flow is coming through this dam and how much flow needs to be allowed for in the new dam design to make sure that these dams can pass the water in a high flow event like we had a couple years ago when we saw Edenville and Sanford Dam fail. But just a couple of the big items that will be constructed here on Secord Dam. There will be new cistern wall poured here, and there will be new crest gates installed up here. Let's go over to the other side of the dam now. We'll take a look at the earthen embankment, and we'll take a look at the Secord lake bed, lake bottom. And yeah, we'll update you on what's happening over there on the other side of the earthen embankment. I'm directly over the top of the Secord Dam again, probably about 50 feet in altitude if I had to guess. We'll come over here behind the dam, start dropping in altitude a little bit. The drone is facing towards the south now, and we'll get a close-up view of the gates as well as the area that water would have passed into the Powerhouse. Area is pretty hard to see except by drone or by boat, and you know, if you had a boat or canoe in this area directly behind the dam, that would not be a good idea. I think you'd probably end up going right over the top of the dam, but that's what these barrels are for in front of the dam location here, is to keep that from happening. Again, you can see how high these Tainer gates are raised up, higher than they usually were before the dams had failed. And that was part of the reason why Edenville Dam failed. It wasn't able to raise the gates up high enough to be able to pass the amount of flow in that high water event. So can't even see the water ripples going over the top of the dam because it's so smooth. You can see down there to the south though, that gentleman is still fishing. And over here on the left hand side, you can see the grates where the water enters into the powerhouse and used to pass through into the turbines to produce hydropower. I'm going to start panning the camera over to the left and tell you about another new concept. They're actually talking about using an RCC emergency auxiliary spillway over here on the right hand side of this earthen embankment and changing it to a side discharge. This will provide a little bit more of a right-of-way for Secord Dam Road because the old concept came right up next to it. So including this side discharge will provide a little bit more room there. You can see just how steep this earthen embankment is. You'll be able to see more about this concept at the end of the video that I was just talking about though. Looks like someone's over there burning some stuff, but now we can see more of those stumps out here on the lake bed. You can see that the water level is a little bit higher than usual because usually these small trees that you can see in this area are above water. And I'll fly out here. We'll see a little bit more of how these saplings are doing. They are really thriving out here on the lake bed. A lot of these are mostly cottonwood and a couple willow trees mixed in. And you can see some more of those stumps out here on the lake bed. Here's the area to the east of Secord Dam. So Secord Dam right down there in the background. Looks like there's a little sand staged here. A little bit of gravel, crushed limestone possibly. The public access where I was just filming is right down there. Right down underneath the Secord Dam bridge that is directly to the south of the Secord Dam. Public access parking right over here. You can kind of see some of the drains down here that allows water out of the earthen embankment. So it looks like there's a couple of these dripping. You probably can't see it from the camera, but just a little bit of water dripping out of these. Looks like a lot of these are just SDR 35 or DSTM sewer drain pipe, probably about 4-inch. And then that water flows down the ditch down to Secord Dam back there. All right, let's take a look at the other side of the earthen embankment now. Before we jump into the video on the other side of the earthen embankment, I'll leave you with this last clip from the drone flying over the top of the Tittabawassee River at a fairly low altitude, probably about 20 feet. And we're going to go back over here, circle around Secord Dam one last time. Another common question that people usually had is how deep was this lake? The lake is approximately 40 feet deep at its deepest point and is 815 acres. That was before this was drawn down to the run of the river as we see right now. But when the new gates are installed and the dam is rebuilt, construction begins again here. That is estimated to be at the exact same height as the water level before the dam failures happened. So everything should be exactly back to the way it was and water depth the same. Up here on the other side of the earthen embankment, so this is the area to the north of Secord Dam right down there. Pretty peaceful morning out here. You know, it's a Saturday morning. It's pretty warm. It's supposed to get up to, I believe, almost 80 degrees today. Right now I think it's about 55 degrees, so starting to get there a little bit. Do got my pair of sunglasses on that somebody sent me last year. If you want to send me anything, again, my P.O. box is in the description down below. Also, anyone that is interested in the equipment that I'm using, make sure you check out the links in the description down below. I have Amazon affiliate links to all the equipment that I use, and you know, if you click those and go ahead and purchase anything from Amazon within 24 hours, they kick a small portion of the proceeds back to the channel. There's a couple geese landing out there right now. You can probably hear them. Out here on the lake bed though, vegetation is probably going to start greening up very soon now that we're in the springtime. A lot of trees growing over here, a lot of those cottonwood willow trees, a couple cattails, and all these things you see dotted out here in the water are tree stumps. So this area used to be a forest. There was woods here before the dams were even installed here in the first place. And they went through and cut all these trees down. So when the lake refilled, these stumps were kind of just sitting underneath the water. Quite a hazard to boaters, prop damage. I wouldn't even want to fathom what would happen if you were skiing and ended up falling on one of these stumps. Same is true for a lot of our lakes, our man-made lakes here in Michigan though. Up there in Oscoda, Foot Dam Pond along the Asaba River, same way, tons of trees underneath the water, just below the water line, that you can actually see straight down. I know there's a lot of people that lose boat anchors, fishing hooks on them. Let me turn the camera and we'll look at the Earthen embankment over here. This is one area where one of those core studies were complete. So you can see some of the borings that were here. Not sure if this was actually from the boring either. When they maybe put the hole down through there, you could probably undo that cap and see straight down in there. Probably will see a little bit of water and some of the material that came out of the boring. Also in this area, in the future plans that you'll see at the end of this video, this is almost probably right where the auxiliary spillway will be coming through. Maybe a little bit further to the east of here from where they have the diagram drawn. But the emergency spillway, if Secord Dam cannot handle the amount of flow going through it, the water would overflow right here on the emergency auxiliary spillway, come behind the earthen embankment, and then go down there in front of the bridge. So that's kind of some of the other future plans that need to be complete before the lake is allowed to refill. You can see this earthen embankment, how steep it is as well. I'm surprised they haven't had more erosion happening on this over the last, this dam's been here for almost 100 years. At least there's vegetation growing on it, and that's probably the only reason that this is not eroding even further. Got some, almost looks like river rock down here. Stone, not riprap. It's not limestone. There might be a couple chunks of riprap limestone in there. I also want to mention though, right now, at this time, we're working on building our dream home. So if you want to check that out, check out my other channel, the Mowbray family channel. And right now, they are working on doing the drywall and insulation on the inside. So waiting on a couple more windows to come in, with these COVID shortages. It's kind of a little harder to build when we have this many shortages happening, but there's been a lot of dirt moving. We ended up constructing in half-an-acre pond. So go check that out if you're interested. Also, if you've been enjoying this video this long, make sure you go down below, hit the like button, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and leave any questions and comments you have down below. I think I'm gonna wrap up this video now though. I'm gonna head to the south of here, go down to Smallwood Dam, film a quick update down there, and then I might head down to Sanford Dam as well. There goes a wood duck out there. There's just a ton of wildlife always out here. Also, don't want to forget, I do want to get a tour of the inside of this powerhouse as well. So hopefully I'm able to arrange that in the next couple of months. Hopefully I'm able to get that done this springtime.
All right, so this this slide is kind of a pretty high level overview of what we're proposing. We've been coordinating with the Win One Pass on this new cutoff wall, kind of different technology than driving steel sheet pile, but this is we're kind of going through our proof of concept and the engineering design for swapping this system out. Carlin Grundeman has been kind of leading that task, and again, we had some pretty good discussions last week, so we don't really want to go too far into it. I think the high level is it's a different technology here. We are going through all of this seepage and stability calculations to make sure this is going to work. It does result in some slight modifications to the grading plan. I believe the impacts actually are going to be slightly less. If you go to the next slide, Kelsey, I think one thing that we're working through, thank you, on this slide, is that we do have to cut down the crest about 3 feet just to get the about a 25-foot wide work platform to construct this. And we're proposing to do this here very quickly in terms of a construction duration, so that the risk of the lowered embankment is relatively low. So we're working through kind of this revised grading plan, the new sequence of work, all the seepage and stability calculations, and working with DeWitt to come up with a mixed design for this cutoff wall. So you'll be seeing a lot more information, but I think you can kind of see on this drawing here, the impacts are less than we proposed previously. And later in the slide deck here, we'll kind of show when you're going to see new information on this. I don't know if Carlin, if you're on the call, if there's any high level information that I glossed over that you want to add to it, but if not, we can keep moving.
Can I be Carlin? Go ahead, Carlin.
Yeah, I was just going to say the only thing I'd really add to that, Paul, is I just want to point out that we are retaining some sheeting to tie into the training walls there, and so there's an intersection between the sheeting and the cutoff wall. That's a detail that we're working out, but the timing of that installation is important. And I think other than that, we are planning to include some upstream super stacks or other additional flood support during construction to prevent overtopping in the event that there was a flood while that crest is cut down. So that's probably it.
Great. Yep. Thank you. And those are the details that are really tying it into the existing spillway structures, right? Because it's tough to get in there and install it in that location, right?
Yeah, for the sheeting, correct.
Yep. Okay. All right, and then the other this is kind of a bigger change in terms of overall impact. Actually has a smaller footprint on the site, but we're proposing to swap out the previously proposed auxiliary spillway. If you kind of remember that alignment, it hugged Secord Dam Road pretty closely within our current right of way. So this is a new alternative would be an RCC side channel spillway. And I think on the next slide, it kind of shows a few of the benefits here is that we get rid of the flashboards that were previously proposed. The dam crest is up at a higher elevation because the spillway is significantly longer on the dam crest. We would be, constructing this with an RCC plan on site. We provide greater separation between Secord Dam Road as well as the road bridge from our spillway. And we're working through the detail of making sure that this integrates well with the new proposed cutoff wall. We've been doing a significant amount of hydrology and hydraulics to analyze this new spillway, and we're running this through a CFD model, and we'll be presenting that as part of our 90% design. So we've done enough proof of concept to feel comfortable with this design, presented it to Eagle and AECOM. I think we're on the same page moving forward, and we'll provide a lot more information going forward. Yeah, in this slide here, Kelsey, I think kind of summarizes all of that. So a lot more to see here as part of our 90% design. But all of these new site impacts that we've proposed would be, submitted as part of our correction request on the new impacts on Secord, on the Secord Dam site.
Thanks, Paul. Brian?
Thanks, Kelsey. As you see here, here's a kind of a general site layout of the east side of Secord Dam, similar to some figures that we have shown in the past, but this replaces the old auxiliary spillway that basically hugged the Secord Dam Road right away with the RCC spillway. You can kind of see with the brown shaded area kind of represents some areas that we're going to have to work with for access and staging. In general, I think this design, the impacts it gives us a little more cushion away from the road right away, a little more space to work with, maybe some options as far as how we handle the storm drainage and the storm sewer system off of Secord Dam Road. So those are some design details that we're taking a look at, but I think kind of generally it's a net positive relative to the county road and road right away. One area that's complicated a little bit is the downstream slope of the berm for the Powerhouse. We don't really have the feasibility of getting vehicle access down to the lower door of the Powerhouse. So we're looking at some new design alternatives for the Powerhouse as far as being able to reach loads to the top of the berm and be able to access through maybe options such as gantry cranes and things like that. So that's sort of an area that we're working through design options right now. So I think we can move to the next one.
Thanks, Brian. So we've obviously submitted the Secord Dam permit and we had received the correction request with the alternatives and the change of the design. We obviously need to modify the permit submittal. So we will be doing exactly the same that we've done in the initial submittal. And I think we've already talked about this, obviously, with 301, 31, 303, and 315. And then obviously with the other additional applicable permits, soil erosion, notice of coverage, any county road commission permitting, and then any additional planning or zoning building permitting, we'll be moving through those efforts as well. So obviously with the alternatives that Paul Drew talked about, we'll be making those necessary modifications to the permitting sheets that were submitted to Eagle as part of the My Waters permit application. I'm just going to briefly go through what's to be expected with that submittal. So we'll be modifying our Part 31 sheet to reflect that change in the auxiliary spillway. Obviously, with the design civil changes that Brian talked about, it's not 100% yet, but we'll be working to modify as applicable the Part 31 sheets. The cross sections will be updated and quantities will be updated as applicable and will be resubmitted the same way that we initially did. Same thing with 301, based on the alternative.
Hey, Kelsey. Hey,
Yep.
sorry to interrupt you. I think there's a question. Sorry.
Dan Vaughn, go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. You actually started diving into a little bit more maybe of what I was raising my hand about. And Brian, Rudolph, you can comment on this as well. But just to go ahead and kind of state from our viewpoint, as you guys are looking to submit modified plans and documents, as we consider, putting this out for public notice, I think it's going to be really important for us to be able to have, a clean set when we actually get to the point where we're looking at administratively complete package. We'll want to have a clean set. So rather than sending us sheets here and there that you're swapping out, we'll want to have a complete package.
Yep, and that's the plan too. So the dam, all the dam design work and the environmental permitting sheets, it's going to be one complete set, and that'll all be resubmitted the same way that we've done in the past. So the modifications that Paul has been having discussions with you and as stated during this meeting, that will be included with our permit submittal. Brian Rudolph, did you have a comment on that? Are you good?
No, I think Dan caught it. We just have to have a very comprehensive plan set for the
Yep.
public noticing, so that
Yep,
everybody
understood.
has. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yep. And then the same thing with the 301. Obviously, there'll be some modifications on the upstream face, and those quantities and cross sections will all be updated to reflect those changes with the alternatives. And then the same thing with the Part 303 wetlands. We'll be modifying cross sections as applicable with the modifications to the design. Any temporary or permanent impacts will be called out, quantities, cross sections, and everything will be updated pending on design changes. One other thing to note on that, we have been having communications pertaining to wetland credits, and we'll be working on putting together documents as far as total quantities of impacts in the next coming month. Brian?
Yep. Hi, Kelsey. Okay, so on local agency and utility coordination, like I mentioned in the slide previously, we will be working with the staff at Gladwin County Road Commission on the revised designs for Secord Dam. We had previously shared the 60% drawings, which they were generally positive as far as input. Pending final designs, we're kind of set the clock back a little bit and adjusting the designs. But I think in general the impacts with the road commission will be somewhat less. Township land use permitting, I think. Again, we had shared the 60% drawings. At that time, those not too much feedback on the 60%, other than work we're going to be doing at the Powerhouse. We will be having some significant changes, I think, to the Powerhouse design. So those are in development, and we'll be, working closely with the township and then the county building department, especially soil erosion and sedimentation control with the conservation district. Certainly are revising the layout and grading plan, and we'll be adjusting the SCSC plans accordingly. Some fairly significant changes relative to consumers' energy. We had originally planned on, taking the overhead high voltage line that comes from the east along the north side of Secord Dam Road. The original plan was to take that underground underneath the old auxiliary spillway design to be able to come up on the other side where we had some more flat area to work with, to have a transformer pad and to be able to feed the Powerhouse. That's not going to be the case now with the new spillway, and then the steeper slopes on the downstream side of the embankment really aren't allowing us to have that underground service from the east side. So we're going to be working closely with Consumers Energy to, I think what we're going to be looking at is extending the overhead high voltage further to the west across the river, probably along the south side of Secord Dam Road, and then come up our new west side access roads that you can sort of see on this drawing here, and then basically probably go underground and then feed the Powerhouse from the west side. So that's probably the main change relative to utility coordination that we're looking at, but we're working through those details. So I guess that's it. Unless there's any questions.
Thanks for watching, and make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. Also, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next videos I will be posting, and leave your questions, comments, and suggestions below. As always, I just want to give a massive thanks to the people who support me on Patreon. Never underestimate the value of your contribution to keeping this channel going. Thank you.